Hello, Sagittarius, and welcome to 2026. So, the good news is that for you, 2026 marks a new era where you really get to enjoy the lighter side of life, where creativity, where your inner child really get to live and really get to live out loud. However, it's going to be a little structured. You can't let your inner child run free. You got to adult every so often. But this is an era that is marked by fun, by romance, by creativity, and by pleasure. How interesting, right? So, if you want to know more about what 2026 has in store for you, stick around. You definitely don't want to miss this. Hello, my loves. As always, I hope that this video finds you well and in excellent spirits. So this video is all about the yearly astro forecast for the year 2026 for the sign of Sagittarius Rising. Now, I do all of my horoscopes traditionally, meaning that I do them by rising sign. So it's not to say that if you're a Sagittarius sun, you can't glean any information from this video. It's just that this is really going to hit different if you watch for your rising sign. Specifically, if you're watching this video, it's for Sag Rising. So I'll leave the link to the playlist in the description box below so you can check out your rising sign. And even if you're cross-watching for that boo or that crush that you have, you want to know what their year is all about, you can watch their video as well. All right, so without further ado, let's jump right in. So let's begin by talking about the core astrological transits happening this year. So first and foremost, and I think most notably, is the fact that Saturn and Neptune are moving into Aries. At the time that I'm filming this, Neptune has already moved into Aries, and Saturn is going to be moving into Aries on February 13th. And for you, this is happening in your fifth house of romance, self-expression, and children. I like to call the fifth house the fun house. It's the house of lighthearted energy. It's the house of your inner child, of children, of play, of entertainment, of being creative, of main character energy. And this is where Saturn and Neptune are moving. And keep in mind, Saturn will be in Aries in your fifth house for 2.5 to 3 years. And Neptune is going to be there for 14. So this area of life is going to be emphasized for a while. Now, it doesn't mean that you're going to go through the next decade dicking around or just not doing anything or not taking life seriously. Saturn will forbid that, actually. Saturn needs you to have a little structure here, okay? But it does mean that you get to focus on the lighter side of life. You get to infuse more creativity, more play into life in a kind of structured sort of way. That's how Saturn is going to help make this realistic as opposed to just you having fun and not taking life seriously at all. Okay. So Saturn constructs, Neptune dissolves. So here in this area of life, you're constructing a new way to play, a new way to enjoy entertainment, something new with children. Maybe you want to conceive children. Maybe you want to do something with children, right? You can kind of start that and structure it beginning this year. At the same time, Neptune is going to dissolve illusions. It's going to dissolve Delulu shit, right? Outdated notions, beliefs that don't make any sense. Neptune is going to help dissolve those things. And so, again, this area of life is going to be emphasized. It's going to be fun, but it's still going to require a little bit of structure. Okay. The next thing that's of importance is that Uranus is moving into Gemini, and this is happening in April. And for you, this is moving into your seventh house of relationships. Okay. Now, Uranus is going to be in Gemini for about 8 years. So this is another one of those areas of life that's going to be emphasized for a while. It doesn't mean that relationships are the only thing that's going to be your focus over the next 8 years. What it does mean is that this is the area of life that's going to be volatile. This is where things are going to change. This is where conversations or new information can change the nature or the status of a relationship at the drop of a dime. This could really test your committed relationships. This could really test your business partnerships. New information could make you want to break free, or curiosity could make you want to change the nature of your relationship. You got to roll with the punches here. Uranus is all about giving you freedom, but that freedom comes at a cost. And you're going to learn what that cost is over the next 8 years. This isn't to scare you. This isn't to say, oh my God, if you're in a relationship, you're going to break up. It just means that the nature of your relationship may change. It may mean that there's more communication, which could be surprising. Different communication, different curiosities, things awaking within you that could definitely affect the nature of a committed relationship. Again, not scary, just different. And then finally, we have Jupiter, your ruling planet, your chart ruler, moving into your ninth house of expansion. The ninth house is kind of the natural house for Sagittarius. It's the house of expansion, long distance travel, and higher education. Jupiter in Leo wants you to see the world. It wants you to indulge your heart's truest desires. It wants you to be passionate. It wants you to take that trip. It wants you to enroll in that course. It wants you to have fun. It wants you to experience new things, things that light you up, things that are passionate, that you're passionate about. And it's going to be over the course of a year. So Jupiter is going to be moving into Leo in June and will last until June of 2027. So you may have this increased sense of wanderlust if you don't already, because that's kind of the energy signature of Sagittarius. It could have you experiencing new things, romance abroad. It could be the phrase that's coming to mind, which is kind of annoying, is like Emily in Paris kind of a thing, for better or for worse. But you just may want to explore more, and Jupiter in Leo is going to help you do that. All right, so that's the major astrological landscape for 2026. Now, if you want to know more specifically about what this year is going to look like for you based off your particular natal chart, then you're going to want to schedule my 2026 year ahead reading, where we look at your natal chart and we go through the entire year of the astrological transits. And it's not just oh, this is what's going to happen. We talk about what you can do to take advantage of the energy, what moves you need to make, what moves maybe you shouldn't be making. It's very comprehensive, so that when you're done with this reading, you know exactly what to do, when to do it, so that this year isn't sort of dragging you all over the place and you're not lost. All right. So if you want to schedule that and you want to learn more about that, the information is in the description box below. It's also going to be tagged to this video. If you want something a little lighter, maybe you're not ready for a full-fledged reading, but you want more information about the year, then definitely purchase my 2026 Rising Sign and Map Sagittarius Edition. It'll tell you all the important dates. It gives you journal prompts. It gives you rituals. It gives you the information you need in order to figure out what to do this year. It's more self-help as opposed to done for you. Like the Rising Sign Map is self-help. The reading, the 2026 year ahead reading, is the done for you, but both both can give you the same result. So information for both of those will be in the description box below. All right, so now let's move into a very important part of 2026, which is the eclipses. Now, astrology is super dense. It's a black hole of information, and there's so much that I could talk about just with respect to the astrology for 2026. However, I want to enumerate the eclipses because I think they are perhaps the most important. Mainly because it's 4 times over the year that I like to call them inflection points. It's the time where we relinquish control and we give the universe full autonomy to change things in our lives. It can be jarring, it could be uncomfortable, but ultimately it's the universe helping us where we need to go, helping us get to where we need to go. So, the eclipses for this year, we're actually having 4 eclipses in 4 different signs. This is a year that's kind of a transition year because we're moving from one storyline, which is Virgo Pisces, and we're moving into a new storyline, which is Leo Aquarius. So, with that being said, the first eclipse is happening in the sign of Aquarius. It's a solar eclipse, and it's happening on February 17th. And for you, this is happening in your third house of ideas and communication. This is going to be a time that may be very busy for you. A lot of chatter, a lot going on in your immediate vicinity. But either way, the universe is going to almost force feed you new information. And this information may have a very a very digital undertone to it. It's going to give you a new way of thinking, a new way of seeing things, a new vantage point. The imagery I'm getting right now is quite a while ago. There was this movie on Netflix called Bird Box, I think it was called. And it's like when people would open their eyes, they would see some crazy shit, right? That's kind of what that eclipse is going to be like. And not in a scary way, but the universe literally wants you to see something differently. And it's going to deliver that via that solar eclipse in Aquarius. The next eclipse is a lunar eclipse in Virgo, and this is happening on March 3rd. It's happening in your 10th house of career and public life. So this is going to be a very dynamic eclipse for you. This is going to be the closing chapter of a career story. So this could mean a promotion, this could mean a new business trajectory, a new career trajectory, but now it's going to be finalized. Now it's going to be in a neat little box and you can move forward. Everything is ordered, everything is structured, and now you can move forward. So that's going to be an eclipse that may feel like a very important inflection point. It's going to feel like, okay, this chapter is over. Now it's time to start something new. The next eclipse is going to be a solar eclipse in the sign of Leo, and this is happening on August 12th. And this is happening in your ninth house of higher education, long distance travel, and expansion. It's going to be a great time to take a trip. It's going to be a great time to indulge in your wanderlust. The universe is actually going to give you an opportunity to do that. This could be an opportunity to experience something new, an opportunity to enroll or experience higher level education, or even just a higher level of consciousness. This is going to feel fun. It's going to feel romantic, even. It could feel very childlike. Your inner child could probably love it. And a litmus test is if you're presented with something and it feels like a chore, it feels boring, it doesn't light you up, it's probably not something that you should engage in. Right? So that's the solar eclipse in Leo on August 12th. And then finally, we close out eclipse season for 2026 with a lunar eclipse in Pisces on August 28th. And this is happening in your fourth house of home and family. This is going to be a very profound eclipse because now something concerning home and family is going to make sense. There's going to be a closing here. There's going to be the closing of a karmic cycle here. Something may be ending family wise or property wise. Maybe you finally close on a house. Maybe you're finally moving. Maybe you're finally relocating. You're finally understanding your family dynamics. Maybe that 23andMe ancestry test that you did now is coming back with all of this information that now makes sense to you, right? Either way, there's a closing up and a culmination that's happening at the end of August when it comes to home and family. So essentially, those are the eclipses in a nutshell. You're going to want to pay attention to those dates because those are going to be the important inflection points throughout the year this year. So to conclude, let's recap. We have an emphasis, fun emphasis on your fifth house of romance, self-expression, and children with Saturn and Neptune moving into Aries. This marks a new era where you kind of let your inner child drive the car. Not recklessly, of course. Saturn and Aries won't allow that. But this marks a time where you can start to enjoy the lighter side of life, and that may be a great reprieve, perhaps from everything else that you've been experiencing lately. Then we've got Uranus and Gemini, which is going to provide a little volatility in terms of your committed relationships. Ultimately, Uranus and Gemini wants to free your mind. So maybe Uranus is going to help you redefine what a committed relationship looks like to you. Open up levels of communication that you haven't experienced in the past and give you a sense of freedom even when you are booed up. This is going to be a slow burn. It's going to be over the next 8 years, but lean into it rather than resisting it. And then finally, the fun continues with Jupiter moving into Leo mid-year. This is moving into your ninth house of expansion. So this is going to trigger your wanderlust, your desire for romance, creativity, and children, and cast a wide net here. Okay. So 2026 looks like a year where you can enjoy the lighter side of life, where you can redefine your relationships and where you can see the world in a whole new way. I sincerely hope that you enjoy it, and I sincerely hope that you take advantage of it. All right, my loves, thanks so much for tuning into this video. If you want more support, if you want to know more about what 2026 has in store for you, you already know what to do, and all of those links are in the description box below. All right, my loves, take care, and I wish you nothing but the absolute best for 2026 and beyond. See you in my next video.